Alright, today we're talking about word problems. You guys get freaked out and you get scared when you see a word problem. It's too much reading for you to do. You'd rather the problem just tell you exactly what they want you to do and you solve it. But hey, that's not the way it is on the test. So on the test, there's word problems, and we're going to learn how to do word problems right now. Okay, in a few easy steps, we're going to learn how to do a word problem and dissect every piece of information in the word problem so that you guys can solve the word problem easily. Step 1 says to read the problem. Of course, we have to begin by reading the problem so that we know everything that's written in the problem. So it says, the area of a circle is 18 pi square inches. What is the circumference of the circle to the nearest inch? And it tells us to use pi equals 3.14. So instead of pi, we're going to use the 3.14. Step 2 is to determine what the problem is asking. In the word problem, you're going to go down, which is usually to the last sentence, and see what is the problem asking. What is it that they want us to do or want us to know about this problem? So it says, what is the circumference of the circle to the nearest inch? And I've highlighted that in green because that is what the problem is asking. Step 3. What is the useful information? In some word problems, there's a whole lot of information, and some of it is useful, some of it's not. So we have to take out the important part of it so that we can erase all the other stuff and get straight down to the nitty-gritty. So in this problem, it's a short word problem, and the important information is that the area of a circle is 18 pi square inches. Now, remember it asks us for the circumference, and they're giving us the area. What's in common about those two formulas is that we need the radius to solve for both of them. So giving us the area of the circle, indirectly they're giving us the radius. Well, we just have to find it. And then of course, again, it tells us not to use the pi button. It wants us to use 3.14. So step 4, it says determine if you need any formulas, and if so, which ones. So yes, we need two formulas for this problem. We need the area formula because it says the area of a circle is 18 pi square inches. And this is the area formula right here. A equals pi times r squared. And we also need the circumference formula because of course the question is asking us for the circumference of the circle. The circumference of the circle is the perimeter around the circle. Like if you were to walk in a circle, how far did you walk? And that formula, you can either use C equals pi d, which is the diameter, which is this line here, or you can use C equals 2 pi r, which is this blue line here. It is the same exact thing. It just determines on what information is given to you. And in this equation, we're going to use C equals 2 pi r. Moving on to step 5. Step 5 is to solve the problem. So let's read the problem again before we solve it. It says the area of a circle is 18 pi square inches. What is the circumference of the circle to the nearest inch? And again, we're going to use 3.14 for pi and not the pi button on our calculator. So here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to take the area of a circle formula and we're going to set it equal to what they gave us for the area, which is 18 pi. They told us that circle, the area of it was 18 pi. So we set that equal to the formula to find the area of a circle, and we get 18 pi equals pi r squared. Okay, notice that you have a pi on this side and a pi on this side. Not the type of pie that you eat, but the math pi. Okay. Since we have one on each side, we can go ahead and cancel those pi's out. It would be like dividing by pi here, dividing by pi here, but they would both cancel out. So we'll be left with 18 equals r squared. Now, remember, we want r, not r squared, so we need to get rid of this squared here. Okay, so to get rid of a squared, anything that's squared, we have to do the opposite, or the inverse. And the inverse of squaring something is square rooting it. Similar name, squaring, square rooting. Don't get them confused because one is the inverse of the other. So here we go. We square root both sides of the equation, and we get the square root of 18, which is 4.242. And the square root of r squared, the square root and the square cancel out, and we're just left with r. So now that we've found r, we can go ahead and use r, what we just found for r, into the circumference formula. Remember I told you to use C equals 2 pi r? Well, now we know what r is. R is 4.242. So notice that instead of writing r here, I wrote 4.242. And then I solve. 2 times 4.242 is 8.484. And then I have my pi here. Now, in your calculator, multiply 8.484 times 3.14. Not the pi button, but multiply by 3.14. You should get 26.6 in your calculator. Now remember the problem said to round to the nearest inch. So if I left it like this, it would be rounded to the nearest tenth, but I want to round to the nearest inch. So we're going to take this 6 and say, is this 6 5 or higher, or is it 4 or less? Well, I know 6 is greater than 5, so this 6 is going to round this 6 up to a 7, and we get 27 as our final answer. Okay, now that I've done that problem with you, I want you to do one on your own, and you can surely do it. Remember, read the problem, determine what the problem is asking, what information is useful, determine if you need any formulas, and then solve it. Here's the problem I want you to do. The area of a circle is 81 pi square meters. To the nearest meter, what is the circumference of the circle? And this time you're going to use 22 over 7 as pi.